Come on, welcome to Authentic Influence Live. This is Anthony Chansamou from Simple Creative Marketing. I have with me Cheryl Leong from
Hello,
the Growth Hub. Welcome.
hello, Anthony, and thank you for having me on this beautiful, warm Thursday afternoon in Sydney.
It is what you're like being really kind when you say warm because I'm melting
Yeah,
literally.
yeah,
It's warm for Sydney because it can
yeah.
get much more hotter. So let me just do a quick intro and let people know who you are and you know how amazing you are. So um, Cheryl has a young family, businesses and property projects, and because of all these things, life can get very hectic and full on as an entrepreneur. So Cheryl has always sought ways to get more done in less time for herself and others. And she discovered the life-changing impact a virtual assistant gave to her and her business when she embarked on her first online business 8 years ago. I remember that. Since then, she has created an outsourcing agency called The Growth Hub that helps business owners find their ideal virtual assistant or team or virtual assistants to help them scale, grow, and enjoy freedom as they choose. Her vision is to aid people and businesses in exponential growth so that they, in turn, are able to make a positive difference in the world. And today, what we are talking about is let me get my banner up here. Wrong one. We're talking about Let It Go. What, when, and how to outsource for growth. Okay. Welcome, Cheryl.
Thank you, Anthony, and we go way back because I was actually pregnant with my first baba when I not only my first real baba but my first real online business. This was good, 8, 9, maybe it was 8, 9 years ago. So Um, it's fantastic to be here, and I'm very happy to be able to share with people just the lessons that I've learned and how we've been able to implement it in our business. But the power of outsourcing in businesses, particularly small businesses.
Yeah, I'm really excited to talk about that because it is a hot topic. A lot of people are thinking about it. COVID has been really interesting, I suppose, for the world of outsourcing because now everyone is working from home. So this idea of hiring someone that's working from home, it's like we're all doing it. So we are working from home, and our companies
Yeah.
are hiring us to do that for them. So for the entrepreneurs that are listening, let's talk about why or how did outsourcing become such a buzzword, Chez, and yeah, why is it such a thing right now for small business?
I think, I mean, I mean, I'll just share my story of how I came across outsourcing, and it was in that 4-hour work week with Tim Ferriss, and we've come to this point where, particularly with small businesses, we've got so much happening. You've got your businesses, you've got family and all, and you're going, I'm so many solopreneurs or small business owners are just doing hours and hours and hours upon time in a day. And you sort of go, why did I come into business? This isn't what I signed up for. I signed up to business so that I could have the level of freedom that I envisaged, to have that level of choice of when I'm working and when I'm not working. But then all of a sudden, like, I've just really almost like bought myself two very low paying jobs to a certain extent. And so I came across this whole concept of the 4-hour work week, and I went, how's that possible? And you see people traveling and all of that, and so I was really sort of intrigued by that, right? And you've done the world travel working, working while you're traveling thing, and so then I came across this concept of outsourcing or freelancing. I went, okay, so how does this work? And I've been so used to seeing business people having physically, offices. Like, with all the traditional, you need to have offices, and you build a team, and they're all, in the office with you. And you're so right. Like, COVID has really turned that on its head. Business scene that's possible to work remotely. Like, small businesses, I guess, have started to embrace that. People can be productive from home, and actually people are more productive, and depends. Like, some people really really need to have that social interaction, but we've realized now there's no borders. Like, we're not confined by our physical space to the people that we work with. And I love that, because I love being able to not only travel, but meet people across the world in different cultures, and recognize there's so much talent and skill internationally. I mean, in locally as well. And I think that's why people look at outsourcing and they realize now that so much more can be done in a business. It's not just, solopreneurs don't have to wear the hat of I'm the chief everything officer all the time, and really, take plausible steps to build that level of freedom and the business that they want with a team, whether it's a physical team or a remote team. It's possible now.
Yeah, 100%. And the shift has been really interesting to observe, because I remember when outsourcing, it wasn't called outsourcing when we go back 2003, I think, when I was still working for HP, and the word was globalizing. It was like, let's move all our operations to another country. The cost is lower in comparison to Australian rates and whatnot. And then we saw 5 or 10 years later, the freelance movement, or they call it the freelance revolution, where what you mentioned, there were these nomads popping up here and there with their laptops, and it's like, I can now work from my laptop. And now we've moved to 2020, where it's like, well, it seems like the whole world is doing this, and it's much more common. I guess I'm curious to hear from you. Is there still any resistance to the idea of outsourcing? Do you have what are the common myths, or when business talk to you and they say, hey, Shares, like, this outsourcing thing sounds cool. I like the idea of, unlocking my time and having someone work for me and these sort of things. But what are some of the challenges that they have that come up for them? What type of questions come up before, when they're having those conversations with you?
That's a really, really good question, because we do have, and it's, outsourcing, not forgetting, it doesn't necessarily need to mean it's offshoring either. So there's outsourcing where you're just outsourcing a function in your business, whether it's local or overseas. But I'll refer to sort of the offshoring outsourcing, like, you're engaging someone from overseas. And I guess some of the, probably not so much now, but does still come up, is the idea of one is, are we losing jobs locally in Australia because we're giving jobs to other people? I'll bring up sort of the concerns first. Two, are we actually paying people and looking after them well? If you can, if it's a fraction of the cost of what it is in Australia and we're paying that, is it, are we taking advantage of that? And then three is the quality. There's no doubt, sort of quality of work, language barriers, cultural barriers, that sort of thing. In your experience, would you say those would be probably top three?
Yeah, I think you've nailed it, like, with those three concerns. So let's unravel or address each one.
All right. Excellent.
Yeah.
So first one, the idea that we're taking jobs away from
Australians,
local Australia. And I look at it and I go, well, small businesses in Australia, there's no doubt, like, within the first 2 to 3 years, how many small businesses sort of fail and have cash flow issues? And a lot of that comes down to the fact that the small business owner has so much to do that they're so overwhelmed that they don't actually get a chance to focus on the core thing that they need to be doing, which might be actually speaking to clients. It might be getting more work in the door. They're not spending enough on marketing and sales and things like that, because they're being bogged down by so much stuff in the background. But the truth is that poor small business owners having enough trouble paying themselves, let alone having someone else on a similar, or on a fairly decent wage to pay them. And so what I've seen and what it allows small businesses to do, if they're offshoring, they're able to outsource more, I guess, repetitive, and for want of a better word, mundane tasks, but in a more cost-effective way. What I've actually seen is that it allows that business to then grow, get more money, and then be able to see what are the roles that I need, that actually need to be local, that actually need to have someone that has the local knowledge, and that local expertise. Whereas there's always stuff in a business, that back end administrative operational side of things, that can be done by someone no matter where they are, so long as there's processes, systems in place, and that person has the skills to do it. But again, it actually means that businesses can grow, and businesses can grow. It means it's great for the economy. More income. That means also then they're able to grow a team, whether that's a mix of external, of offshore, or internal local Australians as well. So I actually feel that it allows for that to happen more.
Yeah, I there are some really good points that you raised just around expectations, which relates to the third, I guess, consideration you talked about. We'll go there, to that first, which is quality of work, right? So something that I've had that experience where I've been worried, if I work with someone in the Philippines or in India or wherever it may be, what's the standard of work? Can it match having someone here, right? So what would you say has been your experience with that, and the experience your clients have had with that?
Yeah, and I've absolutely experienced the whole spectrum of it. And I've had VAs who have been excellent, who are in my team now, who have gone from being my EAs to my operations manager. And you notice that straight away, like the amount of skill and talent that someone has, whether they're offshore or whether they're local. But then I've had ones where they just want the right fit. They just want, they didn't have the skills. So it is it's recruitment. At the end of the day, it's recruitment, right? That you need to really understand. One, what are the skills, attitude, and experience that you need someone to fill, and not just expect that a VA, to a certain extent, people sort of think I can chuck everything at a VA. Doesn't matter who they are, little robots, they will just be able to do what I ask them to do, which is, I think we just really need to get our minds out of that it's not necessary, unless you're a really systemized business where anyone can come in and just follow your steps. And that's what the benefit of having a process. But just at the end of the day, like us, there's some things that I don't like, some things that you like, that some things I'm good at. It's the same with the VA. It's just understanding and matching those skills that they have to the skills that you need and the tasks that you need completed. And then you'll have a much higher chance of finding the right person to deliver the right sort of outcome that you're looking for.
So are you saying that the robot superhuman can do it all VA doesn't exist?
Yes. There are definitely people that are very skilled in being able to do a lot of things, but it doesn't necessarily then mean that, whether, do you need them to be creative? Do you need them to make calls? Do you need them to do all your administrative stuff? Like, one person cannot necessarily do all of that. You might be able to find someone that's really good, but you have to understand as well, just like us, we're not going to be, are you getting to a point where you're wearing them out and you're overwhelming them as well? And then they're more likely to burn out. Something else that we're more in tune to their own vision. Like, not forgetting that we're talking about people who have their own visions, their goals, their passions in life. Where it's matching that up as well, because then they're going to stay with you for a long time. they're going to see the vision and values that you bring as their, as their boss, as their leader. So having that connection with a VA is so important. So important. Not just sending tasks, meaningless tasks over to someone, because then it sort of becomes, there's no attachment to it.
Yeah, and I think it's easy to forget that we are. That's a problem I have with just labeling people or just looking at them as roles. Like that's just the finance person, that's the graphic designer, that's the VA. Like I think we need to remove that and say, well, behind all that is actually a human being. And they have families, they've got kids, they've got husbands and wives, and they've got dreams and goals just like we do. And how would you feel if someone treated you that way and was just like, hey, you're just here to do a job. That's it. I'm paying you to do a job, and I don't really care about anything else about you. And I think that's a really massive point that you're raising, and it does make sense to, onboard, bring in a VA or a new team member as if they are a new team member. Like, how would you treat them? Like when you join a new company, how were you treated? Right? Like that's important. So we've addressed two. That there was a third one. What was the third one? I'm trying to remember. It
which was about, now you've got me, because we were talking about whether you're paying people enough.
Yes, that's right. Okay, are we ethical, and are we taking advantage of the fact that they're in a different country?
Ethical and all that. And so this is another interesting point, because sometimes I have people that say, I can get someone for this amount, like under $3 or something like that. So you've got one camp that's like, the cheaper the better. And then there's the other camp that are like, are we sure, you're paying enough? Are we, is it ethical? And for us as a business, we definitely look at the fact that whatever country you're from, we've got different living standards, right? So we, wherever we are employing our VAs from, it's definitely going to be a question around, all right, what is, what's in, are we paying for the value that they're providing? Are we providing some level of, coverage? I mean, we don't have to, but we do provide healthcare as well to our VAs, because it's something that, unlike Australia, they don't, in the Philippines, they don't have Medicare. So health insurance is quite expensive. So we're looking at ways to ensure that our VAs are being paid for the value that they bring, and then they get rewarded, if they're doing a good job, like, increase their pay, just like anyone else. Everyone, like, we come down to that whole notion of we're dealing with a human. Like, how do we motivate and incentivize people? Because if you're not paying well also, wherever they are, whichever country they are, Australia, we've got our video editors in Kosovo, like, they're going to be, demotivated, and they're not going to want to stay. So, even as an agency, we've got to recognize and understand and do the research from our part to go, all right, if we want high quality and high performing VAs that are going to feel well looked after, like, we're going to have to pay above market rates as well. Do we need to, what sort of rates does that involve? But I'm also conscious, say, for example, in the Philippines, it's not unusual for people to work 2, sometimes 3 jobs. And so my vision for our business is to definitely be able to get to the point where we are one of the highest paying outsourcing agencies, so that our champions, we call our VAs champions, don't have to go looking for 2, 3 jobs. Like, in Australia, most of us have one job, right? If it's not so, not so good paying, not a well-paying job, we just have a whinge about it. But typically we have one job. You might have a second job, but it's very unusual. And so, my question around that is like, why do they feel that they need to get 2 jobs? And so that comes down to, reflecting on what are we paying as well.
Yeah, these are really good considerations, and I want to talk to the entrepreneur or business owners watching this and really think about that, like in terms of how do you reward good, like someone who's really great on your team, right? Like, what are the things that you're doing to retain great staff? When you find someone that you're working with who is really amazing, this is a real consideration, because, like what you're saying, Cheryl, if they're out there and they're actually working 2 or 3 jobs, or they have 2 or 3, they're juggling 2 or 3 clients, perhaps, then that can become an issue. I've had that as an issue in the past, where I've lost the VA because they've just gone, I've got I've got other clients that I'm balancing, and the workload is just too much, right? And so I like that your stance on this is, well, let's get to a point where we can actually, get to a point where we can sort of raise the value, or make sure that our VAs are looked after, and that they want to stick around and they're doing good work, and that we can get them where they're just full-time, just doing working with us and our team and our clients. Like, I think that's really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think culturally as well, it's more acceptable that people have multiple jobs. But again, we're really conscious that, we've got VAs who, if they do have a second job, like we look at the times that they're doing that. Are they having to do another US, tend to a US client? Are they getting enough sleep? Because that also affects their productivity and their output. So those are this type of things, as an agency, that we consider, and it's always first about the person.
Yeah, it's people first, which is amazing, because that's consistent working with your clients and working with the people that support your clients as well. So I just want to sort of jump into some questions that are very common for business owners, in addition to the ones we've covered. The next one would be, well, how do we, I'm at the point where I get the concept, I'm thinking about doing it. All right. How do I make sure that, or how do we determine what to outsource and what to delegate? And I know you've got this freedom guide, 50 tasks to freedom. So maybe you can talk about some of the things that typically businesses can outsource.
Yeah, and so what we normally do is I definitely sit down with the business owners to really understand where where their business is at, and more so is really identifying the core need that they have in their business, right? And what are the things that are just bogging them down. If we're able to extract the things that are bogging them down, and I've been there before, so I know, like, when I had to swap our EAs, like when I had an EA that wasn't doing the task that was meant to be done, like I was like, oh my goodness, everything sort of like handbrake. So look at the things that are low value for you, that, if it's, organizing your calendars, if it's even emails, if it's just like even things like outreach, like, if you're needing to increase your sales and your marketing, like look at the things that you're spending your time on, and see if it's something that someone else can help with, whether it's scheduling posts, whether it's just like, again, Facebook or LinkedIn outreach, that sort of things where you go, wow, this is, if I had someone to keep that level of consistency and to do that on a daily basis, what difference would that make? I know I would like to do it, but it's not my core business. Anything that's not your core business, and we have a tool called the Task Shredder, where we literally note down all the different tasks in a business. We break it down to each of the divisions of a business, if there's divisions. Let's say marketing, sales, operations, and then admin. Break that all down, and then work through each of those tasks and go, what value are these tasks that I'm doing bringing in money? If it's not, is it something that I should continue doing, or is it something that I can have someone do because it's fairly quick and easy, or two, that I can put a process in place to automate it? And when I say automate, that can either be automated through a person or can be automated through a technology. So you've got to look at that. And so you might need to spend a little bit of time to, what we say, sometimes we have to go slow to move forward, right? To move fast. If you're in the state of absolute overwhelmed, I just don't have enough time working 16-hour days, you need to pause and go, all right, take a task shredder, take out a spreadsheet and write down all the tasks that you're doing in your business now, plus all the things that you wish to be doing. And then on another column, like note down, do you really want to be doing this? Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. And then another column, the ones that you've said, yes, should I actually be the one doing it? That's a different question.
I like that last question. I like that a lot because it's easy for us to say, "Oh, but I'm the specialist," and it's I'm the only one who can do it, and no one else can do it just as well as me. And I get challenged. I've been challenged on that by my coach, and they've just gone, "Really? Like that? Is that But you're also telling me you're getting 4 hours of sleep a night. So like how is that impacting other areas of what you're trying to achieve?" And you mentioned some things like lead generation or prospecting and some of those sales activities. And I really think if you took the time to do the task shredder activity and really just listed out, those different columns that you're talking about, Cheryl, I think you can start to really see, challenge that thinking around, no, it must be me that has to do it. Like, I think you can actually start to think, well, what if I could? Let's just pause the ego for a moment and just actually, just like really ask the question, well, what if I could have someone else do that for me, right? And I think that that's a really great approach to working out what you can outsource. Because then, all right, so let's say they've done the list, okay, and then they go, well, now what? What's the next step? How do I go from that list to getting a new team member, or how do I even find the right team member?
Yeah, and so I think from that list, you can almost categorize them into things that are more, and this is where we do a DISC profile, right? We do a DISC profile so that we can identify the type of personality that is suited for certain roles. So you got to look at that list and go, is this something that, bundle it up into, well, this is actually more creative type thing. And then bundle it up into, this is more a, might be creative marketing. And then you bundle another part up to go sort of say, oh, this is more administrative, operational. And look at, and then sit down with, and this is where I'm a little bit biased, but it's good to be able to sit down with someone who understands how to do that recruitment of VAs and understands that whole process around finding the right match. And because to a certain extent, you're going to have to almost compile a bit of a role description. What is it that you're wanting someone to achieve? And then be able to attract the right person that has those skills. So also identifying, like, is any of what you're needing requiring a level of experience or expertise in something? Do they need to have some level of social media experience? Do they have to have some level of having done calls? Calls are a big one. So if you need someone who has, and level of English, what level of English spoken, if you need someone to take calls and respond via email, you're going to have to make sure that you're happy with their level of spoken and written English. But if it's a role that's very much, you not really speaking to clients and all of that, more administrative backend or research, then you're not probably going to be so really worried about that. So we really identify who the skills, the soft skills and the hard skills that someone really needs to have to be part of your business, right? And I keep saying part of your business, not just a tool that does. They need to be part of your business. And can I just really briefly share that part about having that connection? So we have a bookkeeper in our team that works for some of our clients. And one of the things that she's absolutely beautiful, and she reached out to me one day. She said, "Oh, Cheryl, I'm feeling like I'm not quite performing as I want to with this particular client, and I can't quite figure it out because I know I can do the work. I know I can, and throughout that conversation, what we realized was she wasn't actually talking to the client very much at all because the client was so busy and everything. She hadn't really spoken to him for about 2 weeks and all. And I said, "Are you feeling disconnected?" And she's like, "Yeah, I think I am. Like, I'm not feeling it.
Mm.
And so what we said, okay, Mel, well, let's have a chat with him and make sure you're catching up every week and that you're communicating by at least via email about the questions that you have and all of that, so that there isn't that long pause between you talking with each other, right? Just with anyone, you don't talk to them, it's out of sight, out of mind. Whereas if you want someone to really be a part of the growth of your business, they need to have that connection to you.
I love that, and I love that that was the recommendation that you made, because I think that works both ways. If you, it's almost like, because we have a third party involved, or someone in between, like the mediator, or the matchmaker, right? And we go, okay, well, that's who we need to talk to. But it's like what you're saying here: when you have a new team member, a new VA that you're working with, you want to build that relationship, right? And you want to say, well, you are a valued part of our team, and we're going to have on a weekly call or a daily check-in on Slack or whatever it is, the way that you do it. That's just so important, particularly in a remote environment. And I think people are experiencing that with their own companies now, because we are at home and we don't go into the office every day. You don't have the, let's randomly run into the kitchen and we'll make our coffees and teas and that's where we're chatting for a bit, and that doesn't happen. So one of the biggest issues that we've seen, being in Australia or in the US, wherever we are, and being remote, has been this disconnect. We're feeling the disconnect, right?
Mm.
So you can imagine when you're working with someone in the Philippines or the other locations, and they're literally an ocean away, right? And we're disconnected from people, like 3 streets away. We're disconnected often. So it's really yeah. That's a really great point. So I'm curious about something that I know that you at the Growth Hub, you do really well. You have a role within your team, which is a success. Is it a success hero, or what's that the name? I can't remember the actual name, but you'll tell me. And why do you have that person in the team, or person?
So actually, two roles that I'm really that we really are quite proud of is one, we've got a chief happiness officer, and she's our party queen, right? And talk about remote staff and remote teams, like that whole disconnect. Like, she's the one that organizes the Christmas gifts, the end of week parties, the little things on a daily basis, motivational stuff and things like that. It might not seem much, but when everyone's working remotely, it's something that brings people together, right? How do you manage a whole team of people who are across the world, across different cities? Because you can't go into the kitchen, the staff kitchen, and have a chat. You can't. So that chief happiness officer, and for a lot of people who sort of go, all right, if I what is the benefit of working with an agency? And I'd say one of the things is, humans in general are creatures of, they love being part of something. They love that community connection.
Yeah.
And so that helps them feel that they're something that's bigger than them. And that there's a team that is looking after me, that's got my back. I'm not doing this on my own, right? Because it can be quite isolating. So that's the chief happiness officer. And the other role is a client success hero. So a client success hero is, the dry name will be sort of like account manager, but really it's about success. It's about looking at businesses and going, all right, what can we do to help you go from here to here? We're more than just a VA service. We're your growth partners. What do you need from us to be able to grow, right? And so we look at, if we have a client that's struggling with marketing, we're like, so have a chat to Anthony, have a look at doing one of his courses. If it's something that we can't do internally, the part of us being a hub is going, you can still talk to us and we will point you to we feel and we trust, that know what they're doing to take to the next level. And that's the role of that client success hero, in making sure not only is that client and that champion relationship thriving, it's going to that next level of going, what do you need from us to help support you to take you to where you want to be?
Yeah, I love those two functions, and I think it's so important. And just the philosophy that you have around, it's not just we're supplying you with someone who can help you free some stuff off your plate. I mean, that's kind of the basic, understanding of VA and outsourcing in general. But what you're saying is here, no, our role, our function really is to support you as a partner, as a growth partner, to look at, well, what are the activities that you probably should be doing and that we can also help you with as well. Right. So, things like sales strategy or marketing strategy or business strategy or, HR, legal, whatever it is. Right. So it's accounting. You mentioned you've got a bookkeeper on your team. So like these are all important aspects that can really, for a solopreneur, a freelancer, you can get so overwhelmed. Right. And you're just going, oh, my gosh, like, how am I going to address all of that and serve the client at the same time? Like that's the whole thing. And so I think having this team support you in that way and working with an agency like the Growth Hub is really a smart move. I'm going to go back to what you're saying about just the process of trying to find a quality team member to work with. I've been down that path. I've gone down that, let's look at Upwork. Let's look at, all these other tools out there. I think we underestimate that you also have to learn a HR function in that moment. Like you actually have to become your own HR person. And if you don't have the training and the skills to write up a great job ad, to actually interview people, to screen them, to test for language and all these other things that you need, culture fit, all of that, that can literally take you months, if not years, to work out. And you get, unfortunately, there's been a lot of small business, myself included, that has been burnt through that journey, where it's like, I've just had two really terrible, for my team, when we've got a team of content writers, I've gone through literally 50 different writers to land on the 3 that I work with a lot, right? And gone, you can be part of the team, because it's just a process, right? And so if you're already busy and your to-do list is beyond what you can handle, adding that hiring process to your list doesn't help. Like it can be really hard, right? So I think it's worth anyone who's considering it to really have a chat with you. Go to Cheryl's. She's got a Facebook page, the Growth Hub Global. Connect with Cheryl. Ask her about her 50 Tasks to Freedom guide, and she can share that with you. And there's a list of different types of tasks that you can really take advantage of and have someone on your team come and do. What are some of the tasks that are on that list that maybe people don't really think about, that you've gone, okay, these are some interesting ones?
Yeah. So I'll run through some of the tasks that say my EA Wana helps me with on a daily basis. So this is our day, every day, 9 o'clock. And I love that she's the type of personality that she's there like 9 o'clock, right? And she'll message me on Slack and she'll go, Cheryl, what are the top 3 priorities you have for the day? And I'll be like, oh, okay, because I've got to be accountable to someone. This is the great thing as well. As a business owner, sometimes you get so much stuff to do, you don't actually do the things that you need to, right? And so it will be, if I need to organize, usually I've got to organize a whole lot of different appointments. And so she'll coordinate my calendar to do that. If they're really simple emails to respond to, she'll respond on my behalf. But here's the other thing as well, like all the events that we have for Facebook and all of that, she will coordinate everything. And I know everyone just sees the event that comes up, but you need to liaise with guests. You've got to get photos, you got to get, you do this. So, you've got to get their little bio and spiel, and then you've got to post it up, then you've got to share it. Like there's a whole lot of steps that just with a Facebook Live. And I do 2 Facebook Lives. I might do some guest posts as well. So, she does all that, and then she'll share it across different platforms. Another thing that she does is that sort of prospecting of just even saying hello to new people that I connect with on Facebook. Like you want people to get to know you, and so start conversations with them. build relationships. She'll help me schedule Facebook posts, and then just the everyday administrative stuff of, I need a checklist put together. This is the rough draft. Can you make it pretty? Or here's a document that needs to be done in Canva. Could you please do that for me? And so I could spend 5 hours doing it, but do I really need to?
Do you?
I actually enjoy doing it, but do I really need to be the person that's doing it? Because then that takes me away from, whether it's sales calls or focusing on marketing. Like, businesses should be focusing, small businesses, at least 50 to 80% of their time marketing and bringing in sales.
Yeah. And when building the team, like really looking at, when you're at that point, like you're saying, connecting with your team members and making sure they're feeling loved and doing the work. But if you're at that stage where, early days, definitely sales and marketing. One thing that I learned very early on is look at your calendar. And if I was probed on this question was, how many sales calls have you got booked this week? Right. And straight away I looked at the calendar and went, 0. And how many sales calls have you got booked over the next month? So if you have a revenue challenge, then there's a direct correlation between how many sales calls you're having and those converting sales. You don't convert sales, you don't talk to people, right? And I think as a marketing advisor, that's a question I always challenge. And I remember doing this when we were doing the workshop together, was what is your sales strategy? Because if you can spend all your time doing social media and writing content, but if you are not prospecting, if you're not building those relationships and not using a VA to do the connections and do all these things, then you are literally avoiding the growth of the business. Like you're actually, so there may be some other things you need to work on. But I love that you've said these are some of the tasks that the VA can do and the EA are doing for you. Really, really valuable. So I wanted to, I think we're going to just wrap up here, but I wanted to leave with, is there any last advice you would give to someone who's gone, okay, yep, I'm really planning my 2021, bringing on a VA is part of the plan. Okay, what would you recommend the step be at this point?
Yeah, I think one of the big hurdles that a lot of business owners have at the very beginning is sort of saying, oh, I only have about 5 or 10 hours of work for a VA to do. I'm not at the point of getting them part-time or full-time. And what I've experienced is business owners get the most value when they have someone at least part-time, and the most value when they get them full-time. Because when you have a resource there, and I say a resource, and I mean someone that's a person there that's able to take off a lot of your stuff, you are more likely to hand over more things. Yes. Because if you sort of think, I only have 10 hours to give them, again, remembering when you have someone you give them 2 hours a day, it takes at least half an hour for someone to get into the whole swing of things, right? Mm-hmm. And then another sort of hour to get like really warmed up. And then it's the last 30 minutes when you're like, I've got to get everything. So the more you're able to give them that opportunity to get more done, and you allow yourself to let go. I mean, this is the whole idea, let go and sort of, and go through your to-do list and say, this can be delegated to someone else in my team. You are going to get a whole lot more value from having this new team member in your business, and you're going to get a lot more done and achieved in your day, in your week, and in your month. So have a think. If you're really serious about growing your business, I mean, definitely, obviously, you need to have a certain budget, but it gets to a point where you're like, if you're finding that you don't actually have enough time to reach out to someone, like marketing, like sales, like look at it as an investment. What is this investment going to allow me to do?
Absolutely. And I think what it does from my experience is when you start to bring on that first person and then the second person or whatever it may be, there's a mindset shift that happens, because you go away from being the solo, the freelancer, the whatever it is, the one that's doing it all, to becoming the one that's empowering others, that's building systems, that gets time back to spend with the family members and go on trips and whatever it is that, I think you need to remind yourself, and this is a good time to have this conversation because it's the end of the year and we're looking at 2021 and we're going, why are you even in the business? Like, what's the motivation? Why are you doing it? And, if your thing is that you want to create that lifestyle for yourself and for your family members and whatever it is, and then you need to look at where your business is right now, and are you creating the type of business that is enabling that, or are you locking yourself into a job that's worse than having a day job, where you're really trapped in the business and you're going to burn out and sizzle, and you're gone in 3 years, right? Which is, statistically, what's the stats? Something ridiculous, like 1 in 3 businesses fail in the first 3 years or give it up, pack up shop and go home. So Cheryl, I wanted to say thank you so much for joining us today, for sharing us all the great tips here. As I say, if you want to get hold of that 50 Tasks to Freedom guide, if you're watching the replay of the video here, just type freedom below and we'll get Cheryl to hook you up. Otherwise, you can head over to her Facebook page, which is the Growth Hub Global, and ask there and just connect through that Facebook page where it's all happening. And Cheryl's got a group that you can join as well, and you can find all of that stuff, information there. So wonderful. Any last words of wisdom for our audience, Shez?
Well, basically, if you are stuck and you are in a state of overwhelm, just have it, feel free to just reach out and chat. If it's something that we can help with, more than happy to. But we also have some great partners, whether it's Anthony, whether it's other people in this space that are going to be able to guide you on the path of, that freedom where, it's the reason why you started businesses in the first place.
I love it. And I think when we get into 2021 and we're out of lockdown, I think we need to have an event where we bring all the partners and all the clients together and we have a nice party. and maybe we can bring a team as well. That would be a lot of fun. Or maybe we go over there.
Be amazing. That is the dream and the goal. Definitely, when all of this craziness stops, that we can have a big party overseas or here. And how incredible would that be?
That would be really cool. All right. So thanks everyone for joining us. Make sure you share it. If you have a tip, you've loved anything that Cheryl has shared, make sure you tweet it out or, whatever, and just tag Cheryl and myself, and we can give you some love. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. See you all soon.
Take care. Bye-bye.